Are you between the age of 18 to 30 and you're waking up every day feeling unmotivated, not knowing what you want to do with your life, really feeling confused and lost, and really every single day that you wake up you feel dread about the day coming ahead? Then you might be going through a quarter life crisis. Here's what it means.
I think we all have the point there and just trust us to it.
So before we begin, what is a quarter life crisis? A crisis involving anxiety over the direction and quality of one's life. A period of insecurity, doubt, and disappointment surrounding your career, relationships, and financial situations. So really the key point here is anxiety about one's future, about one's direction in life. So this comes with the questioning about your current goals, where you want to go in the future. You know, if we look at it from a time perspective, right, on a timeline, you have regrets over the past, right? Guilt, shame over the past. In the present, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, and you don't, like, presently speaking, you don't even know what your identity is. And in the future, you're worried about the future, you're worried about where you want to go, you're worried about your goals, if they're even achievable. You're seeing too many options open, and you don't know which one to take. It's overwhelming. That's really what it is like. Right, so really like beyond career, relationships, and money and all that. So you're really worried that you're not living up to your potential, that you could be living up to your potentials, and you're worried whether things will ever get better, whether that will be like that forever, whether you'll never find your calling, whether you'll never find your dream career. So you know, maybe you go to bed at night and you stare at the ceiling and you wonder whether things will get better the next day, whether you'll have to wake up every single day to that boring job that you hate, that you thought you would like, right? Because you spent years studying that program. Maybe you spent 5 years, 10 years in medical school, and then you end up on the job market. It ends up that the job market was not the same thing as how it was studying it. You know, maybe there's some certain things you like about studying it, but the reality of it is different. You know, maybe that's your case. And then you wonder and you ponder, you look at the ceiling, you wonder, like, what the fuck is going on with my life? Why did I choose this path? Why did I listen to my parents when they told me to do this? Why did I listen to my spouse when she told me, oh, you should do this? Or why did I listen to what my friends thought or what society thought would be best for me? Why didn't I listen to myself? You have this sunk cost fallacy in your head of like, well, it's already too late. I spent like 12 years of my life in school doing this shit, so there's no way I'm turning back. And the longer you go on this path, the harder it is to come out of it, right? But really, let's look at the three dimensions, like the three main things about quarter life crisis. So the first one is career, right? Career, basically the fear that you chose the wrong career. Maybe that the fear that you studied the wrong thing and now you'll be stuck doing that thing for the rest of your life. This is very common, right? And if you don't address this now, what happens is you have a midlife crisis that will be 10 times worse, because after you're like 40 or 50, you realize, well, it's already too late. What the fuck? I'm not gonna like turn course and do what I love anymore, right? It's too late. That's why you have to address it now. The second layer is relationships. Maybe you don't know who your true friends are. Maybe you spend so much time at school, at university, hanging out with a bunch of people, you know, try to be popular, try to make as many friends as you could, be the life of the party. Maybe you started throwing parties around. And, you know, it's very common now. I think if you ask 1 millennial out of 3, all of you guys watching this video, 1 out of 3 out of all of us don't have any close friends. And you could be popular, imagine. You could be popular, you could have a lot of acquaintances, but if shit hits the fan, you have no one to call. You feel lonely. You don't know who to call. And it's like this perpetual feeling of loneliness, even though you have people around you. How's the relationship with your parents, right? Since you graduated, or since you got out of school, or whatever, maybe you're still in school right now. How is it? You know, it's that period in life where you really start to want to become your own adult. You want to, let's say, move out of your parents' house. You want to start your own thing, start your own business. Maybe your parents are going to support you, maybe they won't. But the thing is, your parents, they have an idea of who you should be, usually. Like most parents, they like project their ideals onto you, right? And you have a different ideal for yourself. And sometimes it's totally not in line, and the both of you just can't get on the same page because it's just completely different ideas of what's best for you. And it creates sort of this dissonance where you can't get to a consensus. So what happens is maybe the relationship breaks. Maybe the relationship gets rocky. Maybe you don't know whether you should stay with your parents, whether you should leave your parents. Maybe you should move out. You don't know how to solve that relationship, and it's very, very common. Now, not only are you afraid about your future career and your direction of your life, but you don't know whether your parents will still support you or not. Maybe your parents are psycho. Maybe they threaten that they'll never talk to you again. Which is, by the way, when a parent says that, they're 99.9% of the time always bluffing, by the way. They're just afraid to lose you, by the way. So the other aspects could be that maybe you lose friends, when you switch schools. Or maybe there's a transition where now you get on the marketplace and you can't even find friends anymore. Like you have trouble making friends, making the relationships, because you don't know who you are, so you don't know what you want in a friendship. You don't know who your true friends are. Yeah, right? It's all interrelated. And another thing is maybe you need to find a girlfriend, boyfriend, and you have no experience in that area because you focus all of your time on studying or focus all of your time on your career. Maybe you even started your career a little bit, but you have no experience in that. And number 3, your financial situation, right? Maybe you compare yourself a lot with others. Maybe you look at social media, you look at other people who have it all together, who have a shitload of money. Maybe some of your friends you were friends with, now they have careers in their dream domain, right? And you're envious of them. Maybe they make a lot of money. You're playing this comparison game, which is making you feel miserable inside. Maybe your entire life you bought into the middle class paradigm, as I like to call it, which is that, to be successful in life, you need to go to school, get a good degree, get a good job, retire until you're 60, save money, pinch pennies until you're 65, and then retire. Maybe you bought into that your entire life until you stumble into personal development, into Nameless, or whatever you stumble upon, and now you think, what, that's it. And you don't see a clear path towards financial success, and maybe you're struggling like hell right now. Maybe you got out of school, and you can't even get a job in your sector. I know this is what happened to me when I finished film school. I couldn't get anything in the film industry, nothing. I tried asking some of my friends, you think you'd have a job in that area? Yeah, kind of, but you have to volunteer for 6 months unpaid. What the fuck? You have to lick the producer's shoe for 6 months to hopefully get a contract after, but they might just use you for 6 months as a free intern. You never know. And all that shit, and I made a portfolio and thinking I'd get hired as a film editor, whatever. No, it never happened. And I was just lost. I was what the hell am I doing with my life? It's just this confusion, and you have your fantasy of reality and then reality. And then once those both clash, then you're rudely awakened that, holy shit, you know what, this was not for me. And then you look back at your entire life and you're what led me to that point financially? Or what led me to that point? What the heck, So if you haven't guessed, basically a quarter life crisis is a crisis of transition. It's a moment of transition. The transition that I like to see, the transition of the quarter life crisis is basically you're going from being a child, being a teenager, right? In my head, they're basically the same thing, to becoming an adult, a young adult. And to be really honest with you, okay, if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you want, then you're not an adult. You're a child. Doesn't matter if you're 30 years old, 40 years old. If you don't know who you are and you don't know what you want, you're a child. But don't worry about it, because there's ways around it, okay? So there's different ways that a quarter life crisis can manifest, okay? There's different layers of complexity of it. It could be mixed up with an existential crisis, which is really more on an existential scope. There's no timeline to it, right? It's not a transition thing. It's existential crisis is basically you feel life is meaningless. There's no purpose to life. And if you're going through that transition phase and you realize your job is shit and you don't like your friends, you don't like your family, yeah, whatever, then you realize, it's all meaningless, fuck it, right? You could be in that phase. Could also manifest as an identity crisis, which I'll shoot another video about. Basically, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want. You're kind of this limbo mode where, you thought you were that person. Oh, I thought I was this popular, cool guy, but now turns out I'm not. Turns out I'm more like this shy, introverted dude. I thought I was this musician. I was good in this era, but now I can't even like get a gig at whatever. So maybe I'm not a musician. So I thought I was a good writer, but I can't even get anything published. So maybe I'm not a good writer at all. Maybe I suck. I know this video was a bit all over the place, but now let's get to what is stopping you. What is limiting you into your life crisis, into your quarter life crisis? Number one, your limiting beliefs. Your mind is the first thing that's really blocking you. All your past conditioning, all you believed about yourself, what your family told you about yourself, your social conditioning, you know, your manners, you know, you learn to become a nice person, a polite person, political correctness. What the world throws at you basically in order to enslave you, you know, to turn you into an average dude, a middle-class dude. Money doesn't grow on trees, success is difficult and hard, life is hard, and really all you need to do here is a different perspective. All you need to hear is that your voice matters, your life matters, your perspective on things matters, your authentic, true self matters, the authentic you matters. And what you have to offer to the world, it matters. You have to believe those things, and you have to let go of all the limiting beliefs and all the things holding you back. Like, I'm not ready yet. I can't do it yet. You know, maybe you want to start a band. You want to become a famous musician. Maybe you want to become a filmmaker. Maybe you want to become a YouTuber like me, whatever it is. And you always think you're never ready yet. You never feel like you deserve it yet. So it's all in your mind, really. Also, what's holding you back is your story about yourself. Oh, I grew up this way. I was raised that way in this country. Oh, dude, I'm Asian. Like in my culture, we don't do that type of thing, you know? Oh, in my culture, you know, we have to do this. I was grown up to be a very respectful person. Like, I can't just be like selfish like that. And the last thing limiting you is comparison to others. You know, if you're a millennial, if you're 18 to 30 years old right now, I'm sure you spend so much time, it's like so much goddamn time on social media, like way too much. Even if you spend 1 hour a day, that's still too much. You know, when you're on social media, you see the highlight reel, the best of every single person you know, right? You see only like their 1% highlight. You only see it on social media. It's like my YouTube videos, you know, my picking up girls videos where you see me like talk to a shitload of girls, make out with like 10,000 girls, and you're like, I do this in 2 minutes. In a 2-minute video, you're like, holy shit, how does he do that in 2 minutes? Well, the truth is, I don't do that in 2 minutes. I do that in like 12 to 15 hours of continuous shooting and just going like rampage in a festival, you know, like this is how I do it. People think that this is reality. Like the more you look at social media, the more you look at Instagram, all those like people with like millions of followers that are actually dirt poor, and you buy into that shit, the more you get like brainwashed into your own fantasy of what things are, and the further away you become from reality. Social media is the master of hypnotizing you into a fantasy digital world that really is not true and does not really exist tangibly. All you see on social media is a modification of reality. People like are wearing masks, you know. That's the reason why I wear a mask, by the way. It's to remind you that who I present on the internet, yes, it is me, but at the same time, it's not exactly me. Because, I mean, have you seen me take a shit before? Have you seen me like lie in bed, like trying to fall asleep? Have you seen me eat? Have you seen me lazy when I play video games? You've never seen me like that. The only time you see me is when I'm being productive. The only time you see me is when I'm cutting those videos up. The only time you see me is when I'm on social media, on the internet. Now, have you actually seen me in real life? No. So how can you assume that this is me or not me? All you have is an idea of me. The same way all you have is an idea of who other people are on social media. It's not who they actually are. But you can't confuse the two, because once you start confusing the two, this is when your quarter life crisis, what you're going through right now, where you're always comparing yourself to others unfairly, you have to stop that. And first is to reconnect to truth, to reconnect to who you are, discover who you are, discover your purpose, discover what you were meant to do, discover your mission, discover your authentic self. And if you think you're ready for that, if you're ready to transform your life, and if you're ready to really overcome all that bullshit that's been limiting you, and if you've recognized yourself in that video, then I want you to click on the link below, and there's going to be a link for you to apply for a free consultation call with me, where we'll really dissect your current situation and see what you have to do in order to find clarity and purpose in your life. So try to put a link right there for you to apply. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.